Hello, good evening. If you're joining me this evening, please be very patient with me because this is my first live chat and I'm doing it as a test to see if this is something that I can do as a way to record my thoughts and to share my lifestyle and the accumulative experience of the lifestyle of other people that I have gathered ways to stay youthful, both physically, mentally, and spiritually. Good evening. I am Mary A.M. White. I'm an author and a blogger. Today, I want to talk about aging, mental aging. It's something that we need to pay attention to because it is okay for us to fuss about our bodies, physical bodies, because it's a physical form. But I recognize that for myself, I was not paying enough attention to the aging of my mind, which you can have a beautiful body that looks strong and beautiful. But if your mind is vegetable or is gone or is old, then it's no use. Your body is just going to go downhill with it. Recently at church, uh, Elder Allen gave this joke about the Silver Sisters. And he told the story about three sisters living together, one in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. The 70th sister was in the bath and called out to the 60th sister saying, 60s, was I going in or coming out? And 60 said, don't worry, let me come up and see what's happening. Halfway up the stairs, though, 60's sister called down to 50's sister and said, 50s, was I going up or coming down the stairs? She couldn't remember. And 50s like roll her eyes. Oh Lord, when I get old, I don't want to be like those two. Knock on wood that I still have my memory. But seconds later, she went to open the door to find out who is there. Totally forgot that she was the one who knocked on wood. And so the memory battle is real for all of us. And it's never too early. The earlier we can start exercising our minds like we exercise our bodies to keep it young and youthful and sharp, the longer it will serve us. Because as Christians, the battle is for the mind. It's a place where God promised to write his laws in those days. And if our minds are not sound and strong, then not going to be able to withstand in those days. Because the demon of dementia attacks our minds, deleting the memories, deleting the laws, deleting the testimonies of God and the promise of his goodness and the hope in salvation to come. So let us start exercising those minds. And I have some activities that I have looked up that covers both physical, mental, social, spiritual, and personal habits that we need to engage, put in place, to practice daily in order to be of a sound and a strong mind and really hold on to those memories that God gives us throughout our lives. So let's go. First one is exercise. All forms of exercise is good for your mind. Most people, as we get older, we may not be able to go to the gym and lift the weights like the young people do, but we can go and we can lift light weights. We can walk. We can do light jogging. What about yoga, dancing? Any activity that gets our body physically moving is great for the mind. When we move, it secretes neuroprotective proteins that improve the growth and development of neurons in our brains. And that keeps us young and youthful. So we can have a mind that matches the body. All right. What about mental activities that we can look at? Some forms are meditation, visualization. If you can map out a situation that you want to, and you can envision, some people would call it, a situation that you want to come forth, you spend the time and really engage your mind. That is actually very good for your brain. Um, so visualize away. Other activities that are great for the brain include sleeping and breathing, listening to music. So you're just being still, being calm, get your body like to a nice little ebb and flow, get off that roller coaster, get off the treadmill, and just be still and enjoy meditation, sleep, and breathing. Listening to music, you may want to do that while you sleep. The right music can help to improve your sleep. Other activities include activities that release your thoughts, because thoughts going around in our minds can drive us crazy. Where we're trying to hold on to a thought to remember it because we don't want to forget, but that wears down our minds and make it tired, and also blocks out other information from coming into the mind, because your short-term memory is working super hard to hold on to something over the long term. So commit your long-term memories to records, turn them into records, reminders, such as you great ways to create reminders can either be physical or digital. You may want to use the reminder on your phone, but it is believed that actually using up your motor skills to write something down actually helps your memory better than typing it on your phone. But both ways do have its benefit. So you'd want to write, you'd want to journal, you'd want to read. And if you're sometimes you're reading, read out loud. Sometimes while I am journaling, I will like say, write, read, talk out what I'm writing at the same time to say, all right, we need to go to the shop, buy a bicycle, 2 pounds of flour, that sort of thing. And just by talking out my list while I'm writing it down takes the pressure off my brain, help me to focus on the present, and gets the worry away about forgetting what I'm about to write down. So it does help. Talking out your list does help. What about hobbies? Other great habits to develop. A lot of us have hobbies that we used to do as kids, but as we get older and we got busier, we totally put those to the side. As you age, it's a good time to pick back up your hobbies, whether it's knitting or sewing or painting or drawing or photography or dancing or learning to play an instrument, or music or gardening. Whatever it is that you like to do, these things are Zen activities that actually help you to focus and move your thoughts away from things that could be negative for your mind, such as your mind wandering off to worry about all kind of things. Because when you're doing these things, anything that you're using your hands, your motor skills to do, sort of put your mind into where your hands are. And so you find that your focus is laser focus. While you're gardening, your mind is just on the gardening, and it keeps your mind single-minded versus double-minded all over the place. And drawing, for those of you who are into drawing. Cooking is another way, especially if you're excited about trying new recipes, because learning new skills, whether it's a language or new recipes, is a great way to improve your memory. So you may want to, YouTube is like a university these days for all kind of things. Everything is online. So you may want to go online or dust off your grandma's old cookbook, or if you don't, your family don't have a actual written recipe in the family, like mine doesn't. But my mother used to cook like certain signature dishes that I do pull out some from time to time. Like, oh my God, my mom used to make this wonderful stew chicken, steamed. You have to say like it's a steamed stew chicken, right? Where she'd never used any oil, and that dish grew out of adversity, where out of our situation of not having enough sometimes to provide, my mother had to turn hand make fashion to ensure that we were still fed. So oil was like a scarce commodity for us when we were growing up. So my mom had this way of doing her chicken where she put the chicken in the pot, no oil. She seasoned everything, cut it up like you're doing small pieces like you're doing a stew chicken, and then she would put it on like a slow cook, first on a high cook to build like the oil and the water, and then she turn it down to a slow cook, and then she does these minces of Irish potato, carrot, or whatever she could find. And she puts vegetables she could find and she puts it in there, along with sometimes she would burn some sugar to give it that brown look. And that, that stew chicken, that steamed stew chicken is the most delicious thing we have ever had chicken. So every so often when my mind feels a little stressed, and I'm home alone, I would go and try to recreate my mother's recipe. Enough about me. Back to the activities. Memory skills, memory habits such as board games, card games, video games, crossword puzzles, number puzzles like Sudoku. And I understand from some lady that Grace Ministry that I spoke to last week that online now they have these Bible quizzes, puzzles that actually gives you the question, and to answer it you have to search the Bible for the passage to put in the answer. And one lady testified that this was really, really helpful in helping her. She's seeing the improvement in her memory as well as it's sharpening her Bible skills at the same time. So you may want to look for games. There's so many resources out there, puzzles and games and so on that you can use to sharpen your memory. Ledger learning. If you're like me, I'm not big on school. Well, some people are, because I find school learning to be stressful if I'm in a strict academic environment. But we're learning all the time. We're learning new things. And if we're learning for leisure, such as learning how to take a good photograph or a new language or play an instrument, or learning new books for a book club to talk to amongst friends, then learning is fun. And that fun learning is very, 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 very beneficial for the mind. It increases and strengthens the connectivity between different areas of the brain when you learn new things. So, like, start learning some things for fun. Make sure though it's something that you like, because it's a thin line. If learning is stressful, then that kills off the brain cells, and we certainly don't want anything at our age to be killing off brain cells. What about dietary habits? Those are actually critical as well to the aging of our memory. So you want to eat less sugar. I'm not yet at the point where I can say eat no sugar, but I know some people who are champion the causes for no sugar, and I say more power to you. But reducing your sugar at the least is, you can get benefits from that, right? So you'd want to look for foods that strengthen the brain, and some of those foods are like cucumber, green tea, turmeric, cocoa, dark chocolate, yay, vitamin D, fish oil, and guess what? Next on the list, water. How easy it is to eat to strengthen your mind. These are just the everyday things that are right at our fingertips. We don't have to go spend a lot of money. We don't have to go search wide and far to find the brain strengthening foods. These foods are just right here. And if we incorporate being properly hydrated during the day, having our vegetables, having some nice cocoa tea or chocolate tea or turmeric tea, or even adding turmeric to, or if you're a curry fan like me, then turmeric curries out there. Taking your multivitamins, we have the sun, the vitamin to get your vitamin D. These things are just so free and readily available. So there's no excuse not to work on feeding your mind the right food. Another activity that came in is decluttering, and this came up from the ladies at Grace. Decluttering and redecorating are some ways that clear your space, clear your mind. And once you have a clear space and a clear mind, then it's like you lift that heavy load, you lift that burden, and your mind is clearer and sharper. So do some redecorates. We're coming down to the end of the year. Most people are decorating anyways. So clear out those junk and make the place feel fresh and light. It will do wonders to lighten your mind. Socializing. We'd want to socialize. Socializing gives us opportunity to share, to learn, to release our thoughts, right? So you don't want to underestimate estimate networking and socializing. So go out, join your church group, volunteer to do things, and because when you do good things, you feel good, and that releases great feel good endorphins in your brain that makes you feel younger in your spirit, joy, and then that manifests in you looking younger. So you want to do that. So if you're in the community, you may want to babysit for neighbors or your children. You may want to have a pet, because that's like having a second person around. Most people treat their pets like children anyways. You may want to pray, be a prayer warrior for your community, for your home. You pray because praying cancels worrying. You may want to have a pen pal, somebody that you pen letters, whether digitally or physically, too. I used to have a pen pal, and that was a great thing, but that was like when I was super young. And last but not least, fasting is very important. Fasting is one of those things. Taking a sabbatical from food is believed to draw us closer to the Most High. And the closer we get to the Most High is the more connected we are to self. So fasting is actually for our benefit. Like forgiveness it's not for God, it's for us. So when we take a sabbatical from food, starve the body to feed the mind, it is one of the best things. So I would say not regularly, because everything, there's a fine balance. You starve your body too much, it damages your mind and actually damages your memory. Because the brain needs physical food as well to function properly. So fast in moderation. So once a month, you may want to take a 18 to 24-hour fast, just no food, prayer and supplication to reset the body. All right? Consider that. Because in all things, gratitude and positivity with fasting and prayer is our greatest weapon against the enemy of destruction. So now that I've given you all of these tips, what are you going to do? You're going to go out and be intentional to form good daily mental habits to strengthen and sharpen your mind, so your mind is sound and vibrant. You want to move speedily to implement the activities with friends and family, and you want to spread the word that God is good and has given us knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and helps those who helps themselves. The wise man helps himself. So be wise. And remember, as I said in the beginning, the battle is for our mind, the place where God will write his laws. And if the enemy can rob, steal, and destroy our minds, we become weak-minded and of unsound minds, and we forget the memories and the testimonies of the goodness of God. So my people, my brethren, I beseech thee to be intentional, to employ daily habits, mental, physical, social, spiritual, and personal habits to strengthen your mind so that God's laws will always be a great memory. Shalom. Thank you for joining me. Until another episode of Glasshouse Moments,